Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we are going to study the second digestive gland, the pancreas. Pancreas is known as the heterocrine gland. It is so because it is partly exocrine and partly endocrine. The glands are divided basically into two types. The glands which are known as exocrine have ducts for their secretion. That means there is a duct. So here the pancreas has a pancreatic duct. Endocrine glands are ductless. They do not have any duct and therefore they release the secretion directly into the bloodstream. But pancreas is both. That means it is partly exocrine and partly endocrine. So we call it as heterocrine gland. Sometimes it is even known as myxocrine gland. Here right now we are studying it under digestive system and therefore we are going to see more about the exocrine part. However, we are also going to deal with the endocrine part. First, let us see the location of the pancreas. The pancreas, this is the esophagus and the stomach. Although this is not much related, but to tell the location, I have to draw this structures. The stomach and the first part of the intestine, which is the duodenum. In this, the pancreas fits. In this loop-like structure here, the pancreas fits. It has this head-like structure which fits into the loop of the duodenum, and then this is the part. It is a leafy structure which is basically divided into these parts. This is the head region, and this depression, the small depression, is the neck. This is the body, and the last projecting portion is the tail. So pancreas is divided into these parts: the head, neck, body and the tail. So this is present in the abdominal region just below the stomach, and it fits into the loop of the duodenum. So this is the location of the pancreas. The pancreas produces the digestive juice which is known as pancreatic juice. The pancreas has the cells which are present inside this, which are known as acini, and it pours the secretion into this duct which is known as the duct of Wirsing or the pancreatic duct. And we know that from the liver, the duct that arises is the hepatic duct or the bile duct, and this fuses with the pancreatic duct. Here is a sphincter which is known as the sphincter of Boyden, and both of them combine together to open into the duodenum by the sphincter of Oddi. These sphincters I have dealt in the previous videos, but this is just to tell about the pancreatic duct which carries the pancreatic juice into the duodenum. So there is a fusion between the hepatic duct, the bile duct and the pancreatic duct, and both of them form a common duct which is the hepatopancreatic duct to open into the duodenum. So this is how the juice is carried by this duct. So this is the duct because of which we call this part as the exocrine part. So the acini cells are arranged as clusters inside the pancreas. What we are seeing right now is the histology. That means the arrangement of the cells in the pancreas. So these are the cluster of cells which are known as acini cells. The singular is acinus. And the pancreatic duct or the duct of Wirsing arises from these, and then it forms the common duct, the pancreatic duct. So the secretion, the formation of the pancreatic juice is inside these acini cells, and all of them release the juice and pour it into the pancreatic duct, which then is opening into the duodenum. So this is the exocrine part. The endocrine part is also present in the pancreas, and they have the cells which are arranged in layers. These cells which are present at the periphery or are present at the outer margin are known as the alpha cells. Then comes the next type of cells known as the beta cells. These beta cells are present inward, and there are the third type of cells that are present, which are known as the delta cells. So all these, the alpha, beta and delta cells, form the islets of Langerhans. So the islets of Langerhans is the endocrine part. So this diagram actually tells the exocrine portion. This portion is the exocrine portion, which consists of the Acini cells where the pancreatic juice is being formed, and this is released into the pancreatic duct, also known as the duct of Wirsing. This is so arranged inside the pancreas over here, and this part is the islets of Langerhans. Islets means the island, and Langerhans is the name of the scientist, which is composing the three types of cells: the alpha cells, the beta cells and the delta cells. Since this is the endocrine part, it will release hormones. We'll later see in the video what are the hormones that are being released by the endocrine part. The pancreatic juice. This is the digestive juice which is secreted by the pancreas. This is alkaline in pH. It is around 8.4, and the pancreatic juice consists of enzymes, water and bicarbonates. This pH is received by the presence of the bicarbonate ions. It is necessary that it is alkaline because all the enzymes that are present in the pancreatic juice work at the alkaline pH, and therefore the bicarbonates ions provide the necessary pH. The water is present for the metabolic reactions, and let us see the types of enzymes that are present. The first types of enzymes that are present are the proteolytic enzymes. These enzymes digest the protein or break down the protein. We call them as peptidases also. Now these peptidases are of two types. It can be exo and endopeptidase. The basic difference between the two is that exopeptidase acts on the amino acids which are present at the sides. That means the terminal amino acids. What are actually proteins? The proteins are long polypeptide chains. So I have made 4 amino acids over here. So let me call this as a polypeptide chain. Now the exopeptidase will act on the last bond or the terminal bond and will dissociate one amino acid from the terminal region, and therefore the amino acids are released. While in endopeptidase, it will be working at the center, and therefore the entire polypeptide will be divided into 2 dipeptides. So this will be a dipeptide and this will be a dipeptide. These bonds are the peptide bonds. So the peptide bonds are formed between the amino acids. What are amino acids actually? The amino acids are having at the terminal ends this is the structure of one amino acid. So if another amino acid is present over here, let me write NH2 in this manner. So NH2 is over here and the same structure is present here. So this is another amino acid. So by the removal of one water molecule, that is H2O. This water molecule will be eliminated. What is left? CONH. This CONH is the peptide bond. So this amino acid gets linked with this amino acid by the formation of this CONH, which is known as the peptide bond. In this way, a long chain of amino acids is formed, which we call as a polypeptide chain. So the mode of action of exopeptidase and endopeptidase differs. The exopeptidase works at the terminal bond, while the endopeptidase works at the center region, dividing the long polypeptide either into dipeptides or tripeptides. There are three types of proteolytic enzymes. The first one is trypsinogen. The second one is chymotrypsinogen. And the third one is procarboxypeptidase. All the three work on the proteins and break them down. Out of these, trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen are endopeptidases, and the last one, the procarboxypeptidase, is the exopeptidase. So they will work on protein and break it down further into smaller fragments. This is present in the pancreatic juice. Now the next enzyme that is present, we were talking about the protein part. Now the second type of enzyme that is present are pancreatic amylase. This is a carbohydrate digesting enzyme, so we also call it as carbohydrases. We are calling it as pancreatic amylase because there is one more amylase which is secreted, that is in the saliva, salivary amylase. But the mode of action is the same. That is present in saliva, so we call it as salivary amylase. This one is present in pancreas, by the pancreas, and so we call it as pancreatic amylase. Both of them work on alpha bonds, and so we call them as alpha amylases. The carbohydrates actually have two types of bonds, the alpha and the beta bonds. So we have mostly the alpha amylase enzymes. The alpha amylases are therefore present in the body, and those carbohydrates which have the alpha amylases are easily digested. But we cannot digest those carbohydrates which are having these beta bonds, and therefore we do not have the beta amylases, and therefore we are unable to digest it, like the cellulose. So the alpha amylases are present, which helps in the digestion of the carbohydrates. What do? They break down the complex carbohydrates, that is the polysaccharides, into the disaccharides. We'll take one example. Polysaccharide is a starch. So the starch can be broken down into maltose, lactose, sucrose, like disaccharides. So all of these can be formed. So the polysaccharides are broken down to form the disaccharides. Now let us see the third type of enzyme. These are fat digesting enzymes, pancreatic lipases. These are fat digesting enzymes. The lipases acts on the fats and break them down into fatty acids and glycerol. The major fat digestion takes place here. Some of the lipase was also produced in the stomach, which we called as gastric lipase, but that is not functioning well. The action is very mild, and therefore the major fat digestion takes place in the intestine, that is by the pancreatic lipases. And the fourth type of the enzyme that are present are nucleases. They break down the complex nucleic acids like DNA and RNA into nucleotides, and the further action breaks them down into nucleosides. So this is the composition of the pancreatic juice. These are the enzymes that we just talked about, and the water and bicarbonate ions are present in the pancreatic juice. Now let us see the endocrine part. The endocrine part, as I told, of the pancreas is known as islets of Langerhans, which is composed of three types of cells. The first type of cells are known as the alpha cells. They produce the hormone glucagon. The beta cells produce the hormone insulin. So the mode of action is the glucagon actually helps in the conversion of the glycogen into glucose. Glycogen is the reserve food material. The carbohydrate which is extra is stored in the liver and the muscles. So glycogen is the reserve food material. When there is necessity, then the glycogen is broken down into glucose by the glucagon hormone, while the glucose is converted into glucagon by insulin. So whatever glucose is present in the body is converted into glycogen by the insulin. So you see, the mode of action of both the hormones are just opposite. So such type of hormones are called as antagonistic hormones. They help in regulating the amount of glucose in the blood. The third type of cells are the delta cells. The delta cells produce a hormone known as somatostatin. This is known to be inhibitory in action. Rest all the hormones accelerate the reactions, but this one is inhibitory, and this controls the formation or the action of glucagon and insulin, and therefore it has an inhibitory effect on the above two, the glucagon and the insulin. So the delta cells produce the somatostatin, which is inhibitory in effect, and it controls the functioning of glucagon and insulin. So this is the endocrine part. You can also consult for referring this in detail in the endocrine part which I have taught, the pancreas, the endocrine part of the pancreas. You can push the I button and you can see the islets of Langerhans in detail. So this is all about the pancreas, both the exocrine part and the endocrine part. If you have any doubt, you may ask me in the comment section, and you can also refer to the questions given in the description box. Thank you.